Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome to episode number 1 of the Los Angeles Clippers MyNBA series here on NBA 2K24. I'm recording this 5 minutes after NBA 2K24 has dropped, and we are going to kick off our series here tonight. I hope you're excited for this one because I am, because I haven't done a MyNBA series in 4 years here on the channel. So I'm excited to get this one underway. I want to pump out episode 1 as quick as possible because that works so well with the Commanders franchise. And I wanted to just get this series up and rolling so we can get deep into it. So I hope you're excited for this series. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like button and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more sports, MyNBA franchise content, whatever it may be. The support has been insane recently, and I hope you guys will be along for the ride with me as we take the Los Angeles Clippers to hopefully their first NBA championship this year, because I tried to rebuild them last year and, well, that didn't last very long. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the Clippers and get to know the team as well as the series. So yes, we are doing the Los Angeles Clippers in the modern era of MyNBA. As modern era, here are some of the changes. We know what the league is like now. Now, one thing this game does not have, it does not have the in-season tournament, so we will not have that, which will be debuting in real life, but other than that, it's pretty close to the replica. Now, I will be doing real draft classes here in this series. Obviously, the game dropped about 6 minutes ago, so I don't expect any real draft classes to be in the game. So we're going to go ahead and just hit auto-generate rookies now, and then upload a draft class later. Now, obviously, the Clippers have never been to an NBA Finals. They've actually never even won the West. So our goal here in this series is to finally make that happen. And the reason why I picked the Clippers is because if we take a look at their roster, they are in probably a very interesting predicament. Now, you open it up and obviously you see players like Kawhi Leonard at the top, the elite small forward who is easily a superstar. But once you get past the first couple of players, this team is very top heavy, and they're very old. I mean, let's start off with Kawhi Leonard, the Claw, the NBA champion, who, as you can see across the board in his abilities, he's an A in almost everything. C+ in rebounding is his worst. He's an amazing player, but he hasn't played more than 60 games in a season since 2016-2017 season. So we're going on about 7 years since he's played a actual close to full NBA season. He's also 32 years old, so he's not getting any younger. And if Kawhi Leonard really wanted to, he has 2 years left on his contract, and, well, he's going to be making $45 million this season, $48 million next season. So, I mean, he's paying a very high amount for a player that's not been healthy and relies a lot on load management. But when Kawhi Leonard is on the floor, he is obviously going to be our superstar. Behind him, we have the other man of this two-headed monster, PG-13, the 8-time All-Star, as he's also on the books for a lot of money next season. So we have him and Kawhi Leonard attached for 2 seasons. But like Leonard, George is very old. He's 33 years old, and he's not getting any younger. And you're going to see that is a very common theme here on this team, as we're kind of in win-now mode. And so I want to see if we can get Leonard and George to that hump, and if we can actually get them to play a full season. Now, after those two, we have the wild card of the team, so to speak. And it's funny to say that a NBA MVP is a wild card, but that's exactly what you get with Russell Westbrook. He won the award back in 2017 when he posted a triple-double season. And it's not secret knowledge that when he went to the Lakers, he was abysmal. He had a horrible stint in the other LA team, but he was traded to the Clippers last year, and he kind of returned to his old. He was a very key factor as to why the Clippers made the playoffs last year. And since coming over in February, we've kind of seen that Russell Westbrook of old. So hopefully we can tap into that. He did sign a 2-year $8 million extension in the offseason, but he's also 34. So between our top 3 players, we're averaging 33 years of age. So very much veteran heavy. Then we do get a little younger here with center Ivica Zubac, who's up next. He's an 81 overall. He's 26, so he's somebody who could stick around on this team. He's kind of found a home here in LA, literally, with the Lakers and the Clippers. And his points per game average has been going up every season since the 2019-2020 season. So Zubac is a player to look forward as we take this team into the next era. Now behind him, we have another center who's back on the old side. That is Mason Plumlee, who was acquired back in February. That sent Reggie Jackson to the Charlotte Hornets, and he did re-sign in the offseason after posting his best career high in points per game with 10.8. I mean, you can see he's always been a single-digit points per game player, and that netted him enough to be re-signed in the offseason. But again, look at the age. Mason Plumlee is 33. We have a younger center in Ivica Zubac, so it'll be very interesting to see how Zubac and Plumlee can kind of coexist on the floor. Then we go back to the wings as we have Norman Powell, who's also 30 years old, who's become a staple of this Clippers team since being acquired from a trade 2 seasons ago from the Portland Trailblazers. Averaged 17 points per game last season. He did dip a little bit in his 3-point production. First time he's dipped below 40% in about 4 seasons. So maybe age is catching up to Norman Powell as well, but coming from college in UCLA, he is another star or homegrown kid who's played a lot of his career in Los Angeles, just like Leonard and George, who both grew up in LA, California. Then we have Kenyon Martin, who was acquired in the offseason from the Houston Rockets, and I think this is a player that I think we should look out for. A former second-round pick, but he's only 22 years old, and they only gave up 2 second-round picks to acquire Kenyon Martin. So the question asked, he's 79 years old at the age of 22. Is Kenyon Martin the future of this team? He averaged 12.7 points per game with the Rockets last season, which was his career high in that category. His 3-point percentage did dip, and his free throw percentage needs a lot more work. But Kenyon Martin could potentially be a guy who solidifies himself as we get past eventually the Leonard, George, and Westbrook era. Then we start to get a little bit more into the bench. We have Terrence Mann, who's 27 years old. He's a backup guard, point guard, shooting guard, so he'll probably be the leader of that second unit. And then we have Marcus Morris Sr. behind him, another old guy at 34 years of age. He is, I believe, a free agent after this season, so not tied to him in the long run, though. So Marcus Morris, though, will probably be a bench beast, probably be a leader of that second unit, as he's basically averaged over double-digit points for most of his career, but he is kind of a liability in the other aspects. Then we have Robert Covington, who at the age of 32 is also a nice bench player. And fact about Robert Covington, he actually holds the Clippers record by making 11 3-pointers in a game back on April 1st in 2022. No, that is not an April Fool's joke. Robert Covington has the record for most 3-pointers made in a Clippers game. And it's funny because he's never actually made more than 40% of his career from 3. His best was last season where he was very close. He was 0.3% off of that mark. But Robert Covington, in my opinion, is more of like a defensive player, which is always good to have on your team, and especially at the age of 32. I mean, I think he still has a little bit of value off the bench. Not saying all the old guys are worthless. I think Covington is still a nice piece. Then we go to the 23-year-old Nashawn Highland, who is a 26th pick back in 2021, so he's still relatively young. He was acquired last year from the Nuggets back in February. Just another young piece. See what we got. 76 overall at 23 years of age. I mean, that's pretty solid. So I think eventually he will take over as that backup point guard position. Then we have Nicholas Batum, who's 34 years old, who in my opinion, I don't really know why Batum has a spot on this team. He hasn't been relevant in 6 years, and as a Charlotte Hornets fan, I am still upset that he got that massive contract all those times ago and then proceeded to do absolutely nothing, but I won't let my personal bias get in the way. Batum is a veteran off of the bench, entering his 16th NBA season, which is an accolade to, hang your hat on. Brandon Boston Jr., our youngest so far, he's 21 years old. He has played some in the past 2 seasons, not obviously much, and I don't know how much minutes he'll get this season. But if a player like Kawhi gets hurt or a player like Paul George needs like a load management day, Brandon Boston will probably see some time in those games. So it'll be up to him to show out in those scenarios. Then we have Amir Coffey on the roster, who's 26 years old, 72. Not necessarily sure what his future holds on the team, so to speak, as if you look at his contract, he has 2 more years at a cheap price. So, I mean, he's a little bit more time to show, but I think Amir Coffey is just, again, another player to kind of spot fill in case injuries go awry. He has a little bit of playmaking ability, but in my opinion, that's really all he brings to the table. Jason Preston is the next man to highlight, as he's only been with the team for last season. He saw limited minutes, so not really much known is about him yet, other than that he could be a 3-point threat. Moussa Diabate, who is our 2-way player, He is second season out of Michigan, as he's another guy who will probably spend a lot of the season in the G League. I mean, especially being a two-way player, I'd rather him go down to the G League and get some minutes. And that actually rounds out our roster. So it's just a quick look at the Los Angeles Clippers. Next episode, we will take on our home opener as we take on the Portland Trailblazers, and taking a quick look at the Trailblazers team. I think this is a very good team to start the season off against, as the Trailblazers are not the best team. They do have Damian Lillard, the elite player, on roster. Now the question begs is, how much longer do they have Damian Lillard on roster? They do have Anthony Simmons, Jeremy Grant, Yusuf Nurkic to kind of round out their top 4 players. And you got Scoot Henderson, the rookie, somebody to take a look at, the number 3 overall pick. Now, one player I didn't highlight because he's not on our team, but there's been a lot of rumors about in the offseason, and that is the player of the 76ers in James Harden. James Harden wants out of Philly, and it seems like the Clippers have been linked to the former MVP. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm not saying we're going to go out and get James Harden yet, but if this Clippers team does compete, if that relationship between Harden and Daryl Morey and the 76ers cannot be patched, maybe James Harden does indeed join the Los Angeles Clippers. That'll be also something to kind of keep an eye out on in the early portions of this series. So that'll do it for episode number 1. I hope you guys are excited for this series like I am. If you are, make sure you drop a like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more MyNBA content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.